somebody's goals. Yeah.
Yeah, so how did, like, the people that you read about, how did they feel, like, comfortable? How did you convince them to, like, let you write about them?
So when I started Crank, I started it for me, but then I started to see, because a lot of friends came to me with their own stories of addiction, and I'm like, this is a book that needs to be written for teens, not from my point of view, but from her point of view. So I didn't ask her, she was in prison. I wrote from her point of view, trying to get inside her head to figure out how she looked at me, why she made those choices, what I could have done differently, how I could have stopped it. And so she was not that happy about it at first. So none of the stories in Crank came from her. They came from her sister, her friends, letters from the boyfriends. I found a journal she kept. This is back pre-cell phone, everybody having phone days, by the way. And then, but when she got out, she kind of cleaned up and she kind of saw how much good that book was doing. More of the stories in Glass came from her. So she's good with my sharing the stories now because she helped share those stories. That makes sense, right?
How's your daughter now?
Okay, she's now been clean for about 4 years, like solid clean for 4 years. She's doing really well now. She has the youngest one, Kaysen. So it was when we took custody of those 3 kids, she was actually pregnant and using heavy. So Kaysen he's pretty heavily on the spectrum. He's had some issues, but she decided at that point, and Foster took him away from her for 2 years, and when she decided she wanted him back, she cleaned up for him, and she's been doing pretty well now. So thank you for asking. Yeah.
When you started like journalism and stuff, did you think you'd be successful, or like more or less?
I thought I was going to win a Pulitzer Prize at that point, but I haven't gotten there. And then I thought I was going to be the next Stephen King, and I haven't gotten there yet either. But I might actually write some horror. I've written some short horror that are in the anthologies and stuff, so I might actually move into writing some horror just for something different, you know what I mean? And horror now, why horror it's a big thing again, and for a while it wasn't. Like, you know what chased it off? Twilight, because that wasn't even close to horror, you know what I mean? If I ever write vampires, they ain't gonna sparkle. I'm just gonna tell you that. It's probably the least recognized out of all of them is a book called Rumble. It's about a boy whose little brother was bullied into suicide because he was gay. And Matt might have saved him, but he was with his girlfriend, and he kind of thought when the call came that his brother was kind of like, making stuff up or whatever. But then he found him. So it's about trying to find forgiveness from somebody that's already gone. Yeah.
How many days did you make the book?
So for me, at this point, writing a book takes about 4 or 5 months. Crank took me about a year. For some writers, it's a lot longer than that. For some, it's shorter than that. It just depends. And part of what takes me so long even is because of the formatting. Because verse is really hard. It's very specific. You have to make every word count on the page. And so, yeah, that's another whole story. But yeah, so about 4 or 5 months. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.